Welcome back to Las Vegas, Nevada on the first day of summer.
Glorious, beautiful summer.
Scorching hot outside. You're lucky we wore pants. He's Tyler Fulghum. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. This is Bet. NBA playoff pick'em game 2 between the Suns and the Clippers. That's coming up. Diamond dollars. I'm not broke yet.
No.
I am not broke.
It's like the
yet.
Undertaker reaching out of the coffin
Right.
at WrestleMania. He's alive!
If the match put him in the coffin in the opening 5 seconds, because that's how poorly this has gone for me. And Chris the Bear Felica on his favorite college football win total. Speaking of which, if you're looking for some college football action this week, check out our YouTube channel on youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. We're going to be covering it every day on Daily Wager, which you can catch at 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2, discussing our favorite college football win totals from each of the Power 5 conferences. Good to be back. You ready to go?
Well, yeah. How was the vacation? It's the first day of summer. You spent the final days of spring with family. Are you sick of them yet?
Yes, man. One thing I realized, my family says bless you more than anyone. I talked to you about this earlier today. If you sneeze, you got 55 bless yous coming your way. Every time guaranteed. Let's go to work.
Makes
It's
me feel like
Monday.
a warm blanket.
A little reaction or no action. Here's how the game works. A statement is read. If you agree, you react. If you disagree, it's no action. Statement number 1 coming your way. With a final score of 6 under 278, Jon Rahm won the 121st edition of the United States Open Championship at Torrey Pines. Reaction or no action? Currently the betting favorite at 9-1, Rahm will win the Open Championship at Royal St. George's in mid-July.
No action for me, Brother Fortenbaugh. It's very hard to win back-to-back majors. That's why the wagers on Phil Mickelson I thought were kind of foolish, I should say,
Ridiculous.
is a better word. There's a handful, dozen golfers in the 16-1 to 30 or even 40-1 range that I'd rather bet for the value. JT, Tommy Fleetwood, Oosthuizen, Tyrrell Hatton, Patrick Cantlay.
How good has Louis been this year?
Automatic at majors.
Incredible.
Automatic at majors, and this is the one he has won. He has won an Open, and you can look away from some of the favorite Americans like DJ Bryson Koepka, who are always at the top of the odds as far as the board is concerned, and look at some guys who play more often on the European Tour. Guys like Tyrrell Hatton, guys like Garrick Higgo, who won early at the Congaree at Palmetto.
You called it.
I wagered on him.
You wagered on it. Hey, don't be shy or coy. What's wrong with you?
You know,
this is Las Vegas. Anything but.
My bankroll took a hit from the last few games of the NBA postseason. We'll get to that in a second. But no action. It's just very, very hard to do. Rahm is great. I think I'll be there, but I'd rather wager on some guys who are not the odds-on favorite.
Complete agreement. No action for me as well. And it's not so much a play against Rahm.
Right.
The field is stacked.
Yeah.
Look at how many big names were on the leaderboard at Torrey Pines over the weekend. Koepka was there. DeChambeau was there. The list goes on and on and on. British Open history for Jon Rahm. Let's take a listen. He finished T11 at Royal Portrush 2 years ago. But outside of that, he missed a cut, finished T44 and T59. So it's not as if this is an event where he's torn it apart. Now, that doesn't mean he can't do it now, but let's think of the mindset of the athlete, right? You go out and you not only win a major tournament, you not only win your first major tournament, but 2 months after having your first child on Father's Day, you win the U.S. Open.
Pretty cool.
And now what are you going to do with your life between now and the British Open? You're going to just practice at Royal Portrush? No, you're going to enjoy your life. You're going to vacation a little bit. You're going to do some drinking. You're going to have a good time. We saw what happened to Phil. We saw what happened to Matsuyama. I mean, he played really well at the Masters and then came back and finished T23 at the PGA Championship. It's tough to win majors. Winning 2 in a row?
Yeah,
Get out of here
virtually
with that.
impossible.
All right, to soccer we go. England sweated out a 0-0 or 0-0 draw against Scotland on Friday and now stands at 1-0-1 in second place behind the Czech Republic in Group D at Euro 2020. Reaction or no action? England is worth a bet at 8-1 to win Euro 2020 in part because they play all of their games at home.
I'm not saying take no action on that, despite having that decided home pitch advantage, Brother Fortenbaugh.
Still bitter over the Revolutionary War?
A little bit.
We don't forget.
Look at the structure they left us with. England, they're an underwhelming squad. To go 1-0-1, good, but when I listen to Dallin Cuff, when I listen to the Bear, Chris Felica, who's going to join us in just a little bit, they talk about teams like Italy, Belgium, France having firepower offensively that can win this tournament. England is not known as a dynamic offensive squad. They're kind of a boring, we're just talking about golf. They'll win a tournament by parring every hole, so to speak, and playing good defense, not having a blow-up. I would rather wager on, in this particular event, the Euros, teams like Italy, France, and Belgium who can go out there and just bludgeon you to death with birdie after birdie after birdie because they got so much talent, skill, and flair that they can exert on the offensive side of the pitch. So I will take no action on 8-1 despite the home pitch advantage. I just think there's so many other good offenses out there that are worth the bet.
Agreed. When it comes to European football, worldwide football, England is essentially the Philadelphia 76ers, the Oklahoma Sooners, and the Baltimore Ravens all rolled up into one. Big expectations, all hat, no cattle, can't deliver when it matters. We see it from the Sixers, the Sooners, and the Ravens each year, and you always see it from England. England hasn't won a major tournament since 1966. That was their last World Cup win.
Wow.
They've never won at Euro, and they always seem to disappoint. And look at the teams that have odds better than them that are currently in front. Like you said, France, Italy, Germany, Belgium. Italy has been fantastic.
Yeah.
They've been a smoke show so far. So if you're going to wager on anything, go take a shot at Belgium, take a shot on Italy. Stay away from England. Number 3, reaction or no action, and then it'll be time to bring in the Grizzly one. Both the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Clemson Tigers hit the board at Caesars William Hill last week with win totals of 11.5. That means the over only cashes if they post a perfect 12-0 season. Reaction or no action. After both schools lost their starting quarterbacks to the NFL, neither school will go over their win total this year.
For me, it's another no action, brother Fortenbaugh. I think at least one of these teams will go undefeated. If you look at the ACC, that's going to be an easier trek, an easier schedule for Clemson. We know replacing a guy like Trevor Lawrence is going to be difficult, but DJ Uyunglele.
Nice. I was too early. Terrible.
The dismount was good, but then the splash was bad once I hit the water.
You were celebrating before you really stuck it.
Uyunglele, he came in and he's shown us at least he can come into real live top-notch college football competition and play a good quarterback. We don't know that yet about Bryce Young. However, his pedigree down there in Bama, 5-star recruit, Gatorade Player of the Year, Matter Day, a football powerhouse in California. Bill O'Brien replaces Steve Sarkisian. As good as Sarkisian was, I think that's a wash. O'Brien's been very good as a play caller in his collegiate career. Go back to his days at Penn State, as you well know. So Bama reloads, Clemson reloads. I think it'll be easier in the ACC, but at least one has a 0 in the loss column.
Agreement, clean sweep, especially when we're talking about both these teams losing at least one game, and Clemson only has the one game to worry about. Now, it's the first game of the season against Georgia. Georgia's a formidable opponent. They're a top 5 team coming in to start the season, but if Clemson gets past that, who do they have to face? Even though the ACC has been watered down for a little while, the fact of the matter is North Carolina, the biggest threat to winning the conference, isn't even on the schedule. You're telling me Georgia Tech is going to get the job done? Syracuse? Maybe
Florida State?
Ugh. Yeah, exactly. Maybe there's a letdown in there somewhere. Maybe. But that is not a tough schedule. And when you look at Alabama, you're asking me to bet against Nick Saban? I will pass. Especially since, the road game at A&M, Jimbo Fisher already talked too much trash, so they're going to get rolled. And the Florida road game in week 3, Dan Mullen, I'll take Saban.
Yeah.
As you should when going against Dan Mullen. For more on the matter, let's bring in an expert. Chris the Bear Felica, you see him on College Game Day. You see him on Daily Wager with us.
He's in his ready for New
York Islander blue, ready to join us today. Bear, we love you.
The island is strong.
Thank you for the time, Bear. We want to get your thoughts on Game 5 in just a bit, but let's start with what Tyler and I were just talking about. Alabama and Clemson both have a season win total of 11.5. They got to go undefeated to cash the over. Which team, in your opinion, would be more likely to lose at least one game and go under 11.5 wins?
Clemson is the more likely team, and you guys were just discussing it because they have that opener against Georgia on the schedule. That's a kind of a field goal type game, and Georgia is easily the most talented team Clemson will play all year long. So while the Tigers are going to be better defensively, very good on DJ Uyunglele. I'm very impressed with your all-season study hall there. He should be pretty dynamic at quarterback. I think it's Clemson more likely to go under than Alabama. And the weird thing here is you can take Clemson to go over the win total at 11.5 and maybe play Georgia at plus money as an underdog in that game, because that's the only game Clemson has an opportunity to lose. So maybe you can figure out like a mini scalp there. But if you're asking me to say who would go more likely to go 11-1, it's Clemson. Look, Alabama doesn't lose to unranked teams. Alabama is going to be double-digit favorites all the way. I'm not scared of going to Kyle Field. I'm not scared of playing Florida early in the year. Bama's defense is going to be fantastic. Malachi Moore in that secondary. So Clemson would be the answer there.
Ooh, I like what Bear did for us there.
Clever.
Kind of threading the needle. Hey, listen, you can take Clemson to go undefeated, but maybe play Georgia as a money line dog in week 1. That's why you are the Bear, Chris Felica. The Pac-12, meanwhile, we talk about the ACC dominance, the SEC dominance, Big Ten, Ohio State. The Pac-12 has struggled in recent years. Haven't been to a college football playoff. Gosh, I don't know how long it's been.
Since Florida State, famous Jameis.
Unbelievable. It's been that long for the Pac-12 to go
Washington.
to exactly. Pac-12 with Chris Peterson. Anyways, bottom line, is there a team this year, Bear, that's out west that you think can break that string, that can get into the college football playoff finally again?
Oregon can, and I like the Ducks over their season win total. Maybe they will not win in Columbus early in the year, but they're going to be better than every other Pac-12 team that's on their schedule. Maybe there's a chance they could get slipped up in Seattle in a rivalry game or Salt Lake, but Joe Moorhead has a ton of weapons on this offense. C.J. Verdell is back. All of the wide receivers are back. 4 of the 5 offensive linemen are back. I think Anthony Brown is going to be just fine at quarterback. What makes Oregon different is their defense between Noah Sewell and Kayvon Thibodeau. They have playmakers. I think it's very, very possible that the Ducks go 12-1, including a third straight Pac-12 title, and could wind up in the Pac-12 in the CFP playoff again this year.
All right, we've talked about some marquee brands like Alabama, Clemson, and Oregon. Let's look at the bottom of the barrel, some of the lowest win totals on the board. I know where Bear likes to eat, and these are the spots. Syracuse at 3. What has happened? Dino Babers. UConn at 2.5. No surprise. Kansas now without Les Miles at 1.5. Bear, of some of these options, as low as they are, what's one that sticks out to you where you should be playing the under on one of these low totals?
Well, the funny thing is I do like another one of those under 1.5s at UL Monroe, but I'm looking towards Old Dominion at under 3.5. This is a team that did not play last year. Ricky Ronnie has never coached a game as a head coach there. He was hired after the 2019 season, so didn't play last year. So he's kind of gone through a couple of springs. And this is a team that went 1-11 the last time they played. They likely will beat Hampton in the non-conference, but they probably won't win another non-conference game. And as down as Conference USA is, there's a big gap, I think, in my opinion, from where ODU is to everybody else. I'd be really surprised if they won 3 CUSA games and got to 4. So I'm under the 3.5 on ODU this year.
A little disappointed he didn't say the Jayhawks as a Missouri guy. I swear I think A&M, Colorado, and Mizzou have all won a Big 12 conference game more recently than Kansas. They've been out of the conference for about half a decade.
They might have.
But I'll throw some, just out of principle because of my hate for KU, I'll throw some money on the under there now that Les is gone. You're wearing the jersey. You're wearing the sweater, Bears.
We are.
We have to talk Game 5 tonight. NHL Stanley Cup semifinal. Your Islanders, the defending Cup champions, Tampa Bay Lightning, the series back down in Florida. How are you playing this game? Your team's a dog in Game 5. They've proven capable, but what bets are you making in this game, and how do you think the series ends up?
But we talked about it before the series started. This was not going to be a short series. It was going to be at least a 6-game series, and that's where we're headed here. You look at 3 one-goal games in the first 4 games. I know the games back in Tampa. I know they've had a tendency to have more wide-open plays, more power plays in Tampa, but this is an Islanders-type series. I'll play the Islanders again tonight. I play the Islanders on the series. Maybe there's a chance to get Oliver Wahlstrom back in the lineup tonight with Barry Trotz maybe anticipating there being a little bit more scoring in this game. That way you can get a little more offense on the ice, but I expect another close-type game tonight, and I think the price alone dictates a play on the Islanders.
Man, myth, legend, Chris the Bear Felica joining us here on Bet. You can catch him today, Daily Wager, 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Great stuff as always, Bear. Good luck tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Have fun.
It would have been odd if Bear had joined us in an Islanders jersey and picked the Lightning. I'm realizing that now.
I did like what he said, though, thinking that there's going to be some goals scored in this game, because that's the way I was leaning. Do you think that he has another man's name on the back of that jersey? Do you think it says Felica or the Bear?
Tavares. The guy left and went to Toronto, and he just didn't want to get a new jersey. Those are
think
expensive.
Bear's got to be one of the more well-known Islander fans out there. They got to have him do the ceremonial puck drop. I don't know if they ring a bell or anything there on Long Island, but come on. Islanders, Bear up there.
We'll get it going. If anyone from the organization is watching this fine program, Bear would love to be a part of anything. He'll take his shirt off. He'll swing it from the rafters if you need it. All right. From the ice to the hardwood, NBA playoff pick'em time. No games tonight, so we're going to turn our attention to Game 2 between the Suns and the Clippers, which takes place tomorrow. Suns currently a 6-point favorite, total of 224. Phoenix leads the series 1-0 after that 120-114 victory over the Clippers on Sunday. One thing to note, still unsure of the status regarding Chris Paul, who's in the COVID health and safety protocols. Not showing any symptoms, not sure if he will be available for Game 2. Similar situation with Kawhi Leonard, still not sure if he will play. Doesn't look good, but we don't know as of yet. So, before we give the picks, let's start with Game 1. Big takeaway, were you more surprised that the Clippers played that well without Kawhi, or that the Suns played that well without CP3?
More surprised that the Clippers played that well without Kawhi, though that's something that they continued from the end of their series prior when they knocked off the Utah Jazz. So, I do think if Kawhi and CP3 are out, the Suns are the better team. I think if both those stars return, the Suns are still a team I like in this series. I just think they're a more well-balanced team. They can play you all kinds of different ways. Devin Booker is finally getting the credit he should have deserved, 3 or 4 years ago as one of the best scorers and best players in the game. It's just
triple-double.
Exactly. I hate how team success has to accompany an individual's talent level or legacy for us to acknowledge them. But finally, he's getting his due, and Paul George is answering all the questions people have had about him being able to carry a team like he used to with Indiana. So he's doing that here. There's certainly ways I will lean if the circumstances stay the same, but if Kawhi comes back and CP3 is out, or if CP3 comes back and Kawhi is out, then it changes the way I look.
He has been wonderful, Paul George. And one thing, I would go the other way and say I was more surprised with the Suns. CP3's been their leader. This is a young team. I just assumed they'd go into this game, and one thing we've seen in the playoffs, every time there's a hiccup for the Suns and Chris Paul's on the bench, he comes right back into the game to steady him. Without any of that, in Game 1, they still found a way to get it done. You're seeing Booker emerge into an elite superstar in front of our very eyes. Moment of truth. Game 2, what do you do?
Game 2. If CP3 is still out, which I'm assuming, and Kawhi Leonard, I think, is even more likely that he's still out, given his injury is kind of physical and CP3's in a protocol. If CP3 is out...
What is this?
Well, yeah. I mean, these are certain circumstances, Fortenbaugh, that we have to account for.
Oh, my God.
If CP3 is out, I'm going to play the over. I'm going to play Devin Booker overs, Paul George overs, because, again, they're going to soak up all that usage and play 40-plus minutes with no Kawhi and no CP3. For the point prop, it's 30.5 for both. The par, Booker's is a little lower at 43.5. And then 3-point made for Paul George. I love that one going over if Kawhi is out. It's only 3.5, and you get plus 140 as the value and the price on that. He shot 15 threes in Game 1. I think something similar is in line. Now, if CP3 returns, that changes the calculus a bit.
Okay.
CP3, a little more methodical, is going to slow it down. I'm going to play the under instead of the over for the game. And then Devin Booker, I'm going to fade him. Definitely play unders on assists. I'll just fade points. I won't bet the points prop, but if CP3 is involved, I'm going to bet overs on CP3 to go over assists, maybe over points plus assists. And I do like the Suns even more with the first half spread and the game spread. If it's CP3 and no Kawhi, I think they'll maybe blow out the Clippers in Game 2.
I hate you. I hate you for doing this because I'm the one that has to keep score of all this nonsense. So once this game takes place, I have to go back through all of this data and see what happened and then check all the boxes.
I'll text you on the side. How about that?
I'm not going to hold my breath. Oh, my God. I'm going to be a little bit more traditional here and just play under 224. Now, if the game goes over, I wanted the over all along. So just make sure we're aware of that. That's my criteria. Jokes aside, we had a 220-point total in Game 1, and we got 234 points. A lot of scoring in that game, courtesy of monster second and third quarters. First and fourth were a little bit lower. So what I go back and notice is that both teams combine to shoot over 40% from deep and shoot over 50% from the field. I'm not necessarily sure that's going to happen again. It could. But what I think is going to happen here is that two very good defensive teams have now seen each other for 48 minutes and understand that they have to make some adjustments. The offenses could do that as well, but given the pace that both these teams play at, 24th or slower during the regular season, given the fact that they're both very good defenses, and given the fact that even without CP3, which is a great note on your PF, they play slower without him. This was still a very slow pace for Game 1. Ultimately, I think the shooting comes back a little bit. Pace is slow, and that the defense steps up. Under 224 is the play. I think they over-adjusted a little bit based on what we saw in Game 1. All right. NBA playoff pick'em. Join us Wednesday as we sort through 30 minutes of time to figure out what he got right and what he got wrong.
We'll have a scenario, a circumstance. It's simple. CP3 in or CP3 out.
Let's talk football. NFL OTAs, organized team activities, something we love, wrapped up on Friday. So let's talk big takeaways for you based on all the news that came out through the NFL cycle over the weekend. What jumped out?
Your England of the National Football League, the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to be my pick again to win the Super Bowl.
You love them.
I do. I picked them last year. Didn't work. I'm going to go right back to the well again this year. We made a lot of noise and talked a lot about the investments they made in Sammy Watkins, Rashad Bateman, Tylan Wallace, making some schematic changes to their offense. Lamar Jackson under center a little bit more. So I noticed that. And if Lamar does make those requisite leaps in his under center drop back passing, I think the Ravens have now more weapons, more ways to attack you and your defense come January and February to accomplish what they want. His passing prop for this year, season total, Fortenbaugh, 3,200.5 yards.
That is low.
17 games now in the regular season.
That makes it even lower.
And I think they're going to try and throw the football a little bit more. I think they're going to try and run a little bit less, conserve Jackson from taking hits. He's good at avoiding them. Don't get it twisted. But I do think his opportunity in terms of attempts per game and attempts on the season throwing the football will go up. Will the efficiency match? We'll see. I'm betting that it does, so I'll play over 3,200.5 passing yards.
I am not saying you are wrong. I am just saying that for a guy who won the MVP award, for us to say that he needs to take steps forward in order for them to win feels like a bit much. It feels like when you win an MVP, you shouldn't have to take any more steps forward. But that's a very accurate point because he does need to develop as a quarterback a little bit more if they are going to take the next step.
And he won that MVP for the rushing statistics he accrued at the quarterback position, more so than the passing statistics.
All right, for me, it's going to be the Indianapolis Colts. Phase 1 of the Carson Wentz reboot project seems to be going well. Now, again, it's OTAs, and it's like a first date. On a first date, you don't meet the individual you're on a date with. You're meeting their agent. You're meeting what they want you to believe they are. It takes a few months to get to know who the person truly is. I mean, let's be honest, right? We don't want to be who we truly are on that first date.
Absolutely.
So Carson Wentz should be off and running, but the teammates are speaking very highly of how he looked on the field, both how he looked in the locker room as well. He's asking me about my family. He's asking me about this. He seems to genuinely care. This is going to be important because Phillip Rivers last year at 39 years of age put up his third best quarterback rating of the last 10 years in this offense, which was banged up. Wentz is younger. Wentz is more mobile. Wentz is the type of guy who, with a healthier offensive line and receiving core around him, which he should have, considering what Rivers went through, should be able to put up similar, if not better, numbers. And I love the fact that everyone's all over the Tennessee Titans right now. It's driving down the Colts' price. They're plus 110 to win the division. They have a top 10 defense, an elite offensive line. This is a good football team. Tennessee has a lot of metrics pointing towards regression. Love the fact that the Carson Wentz reboot project is off and running in stage 1. But again, you know, it's OTAs. OTAs.
I'd rather, this seems silly, but I'd almost rather play the over-under there of 10 wins than the playoffs just because it's so heavy with the juice there, minus 210. But obviously, if you win 11 games, you're likely going to make the postseason in the AFC. I think Wentz is going to be better than he was in Philadelphia. That's a small threshold to get over. However, Rivers was really good last year, and I'm not certain that Wentz is going to replicate that level of production or that level of ability at the quarterback position. I think he'll be better than he was in Philly. Being with Reich, healthier offensive line, more playmakers. But Rivers was pretty good for a 39-year-old quarterback who doesn't have any arm strength anymore.
Now, and this is why it's a two-man show, or man and one dog, which I was replaced with last week or 2 weeks ago.
Mazel. Give you a run for your money, brother.
Yeah, I saw your tweets and I ignored them. I was not about to address any of that. A dog taking my job. That seems preposterous, yet it did dent my ego. One more takeaway. The AFC East is going to be one of the divisions that probably brings us the most storylines this year. The Bills are red hot. Everyone loves them. Patriots could be bouncing back. What's going to happen with Tua in Miami? And how do the Jets start the next phase of their rebuild? Anything in the AFC East catch your eye?
Okay, now this is an open-ended prompt there we have on the screen. Could the New York AFC Jets surprise in 2021?
Interesting.
No, what's a surprise? Making the playoffs, winning the division? Absolutely
That would be
surprise.
a big surprise.
How about just beating expectation of the market? Going over their win total. 6 is like the second lowest on the board behind the Texans and the Lions. I think the New York Jets are vastly superior in talent to both the Texans and the Lions. Now, again,
let's
small
take
threshold.
it easy here.
Small threshold to jump over. However, I think Robert Saleh is a really damn good NFL football coach. He was great as a defensive coordinator. I think he'll be very good or great as a head coach. Zach Wilson is the big question mark for me. I had him as my fourth-ranked quarterback coming out of this draft. I thought Lance and Fields were worth drafting before Zach Wilson. The NFL, specifically the Jets, did not. Now, if I'm wrong about Zach Wilson and he actually is the second or first best quarterback or best quarterback in this draft class, then the Jets can be really good. If he is closer to what I thought, someone who should be drafted at the back end or middle of the first round or second round, then they're in trouble. But everything else is there. They drafted Elijah Vera Tucker to go with Mekhi Becton.
First of all, not everything else is there. Everything else is not there.
To jump over 6 wins? To be 7-10? You just need capable quarterback play.
All right, I'm going to read some stuff to you. This is a team that last year ranked dead last in both total offense and scoring offense. They ranked 24th in total defense, 26th in scoring defense. So the roster needs some work. I think that's a fair assessment. Adam Gase, a very interesting point. The Jets were 32nd in point differential. There's only 32 teams in the NFL, so that would be dead last. So far last, in fact, they had a minus 28 point differential, worse than the next worst team at 31, which was the Jaguars. Now again, Adam Gase.
It's not Gase ball.
You've got a rookie head coach in Robert Saleh, who I covered him in the Bay Area when I was there. He's a guy who's going to have the locker room. They're going to like him. He's a great motivator, but there's a lot to worry about there. Rookie head coach, rookie quarterback from Utah playing in New York City. They could start 0-5 at the Panthers, hosting the Patriots, at the Broncos, hosting the Titans, hosting the Falcons, bye week at 0-5, then they go to Foxborough to play the Patriots.
Here's a roulette bet.
Yeah, I'll take it.
They have at least one win in their first 5 games.
One win? Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
What do you want to make it, half or 1.5?
2. Send 2 back the other way.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it. No.
I'll just say, again, Wilson needs to exceed my expectation. However, I think Saleh's such a massive upgrade. Their offensive line is good. They have some playmakers on the perimeter now, bringing in Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss, could be the Justin Jefferson of this year's rookie wide receiver draft class. Quentin Williams on defense. It's a tough division, but 7 to cash. 5 wins is how you lose. I think they're better than 5 wins.
All right, we'll put a nice dinner on it as well. I think we're there. I like that fact in the first 5 games. I like that.
Yeah.
One win. Let's see if they can get more than that. All right, time for Diamond Dollars. Let's go to the Diamond to wrap this up. Here's how it works. Beginning of the season, we each get a bankroll of $100. Every Monday during the segment, we lay out as many baseball bets or as few baseball bets as we want in an effort to see who can build the highest bankroll or just lose the least amount of money, because that's what I'm doing right now. Last week, Tyler 0-1, but he's still at $90.25, doing just fine. Joe Fortenbaugh finally wins a game. Finally, so I am at $39.70. Pathetic. I'm apologizing to everyone in my genetic lineage for this performance, but we got plenty of time. It runs till the end of the season.
You're on the rise, brother. I got a couple of picks today. Let me start with this one.
We got
first
2 weeks.
Foremost.
Ping pong this time.
Ping pong. I serve. Astros run line first 5 against the Baltimore Orioles. So they just have to win the first 5 innings by a single run. It is the Astros, not the Chicago White Sox. They have the best offense in Major League Baseball against left-handed pitching. They're first in average, on base, and OPS. Keegan Aiken is the left-handed starter for the Orioles. He's okay. He's not great. Doesn't scare me. I think the Astros score a lot. And with Jake Odorizzi on the bump, he keeps that Orioles offense in check at Camden Yards.
Betting against the Orioles. I see what you're doing there, and I like it. Because that's exactly
Gonna put 20 on the line for that at minus 115.
20 on the line. All right, first one for me, the Minnesota Twins and the Cincinnati Reds under 9.5 runs. You might be saying, what are you doing, Joe? Jay Happ's on the mound tonight. His ERA is north of 6. Yes, I'm very, very concerned about Jay Happ on the mound tonight, but he is going against a Cincinnati team that has been terrible against left-handed pitching all year. Bottom 10 in almost every conceivable metric. So I believe Happ will have an average performance tonight. For Cincinnati, it's going to be righty Tyler Mahle. Mahle has had a fantastic season, 2 or fewer earned runs in 11 of 14 starts. And the Twins hit lefties better than they hit righties. 9.5's a big number. We're going under, risking 10 or 11, I should say, to return $21. What else you got?
My second's a little juicy, minus 143, so I'm only going to lay $10 on this, but it's no runs to be scored when the Mets and the Braves match up in the first inning. Got to get through 6 outs with no tallies on the board. DeGrom on the bump for the Mets. That's all but assured that there's a 0 for the Braves. And then Ian Anderson gets to go up against the Mets lineup that stinks. So added probability that he throws up a 0 over his first time seeing that Mets lineup. -143, a little juicy, but only laying $10 on it.
Final game, Padres-Dodgers, marquee action. I'm going to go under 3.5 runs for the first 5 innings. Yu Darvish is pitching for San Diego. He's faced the Dodgers twice this year. 14 total innings, only 2 runs given up, 18 strikeouts to 5 walks. He's dominated them. Julio Urias is going to go for the Dodgers. He's been good. He's going against a Padre lineup that is terrible against left-handers this season. Under 3.5 runs for the first 5 innings. And that
I like
is the Monday
that.
show.
I like that. I'm going to have a bet on that game later in Daily Wager, 6 p.m. Eastern, ESPN 2. But I like where you're at with yours.
When he says I, that means he, Tyler Fulghum. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. This has been Bet. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on ESPN 2 at 6
Welcome back,
p.m.
brother.
Eastern.